My friend Alex kissed me, but I'm already in a committed relationship with someone else. This has left me feeling confused and unsure about my emotions and what to do next. I'm a 21-year-old girl, and I've been dating my boyfriend, who's 23, for 3 months now. We've actually been talking to each other for 7 months, but we only started officially dating 3 months ago. Lately, we've been having some problems in our relationship. He's been secretly spending time with people he's been intimate with in the past, and he's also forgotten to delete some explicit photos of other girls from his phone. I tried to be understanding, thinking that maybe the rules were different with his past relationships. But honestly, I was really upset. He suggested a compromise: I could see other people if I wanted, but he would focus on himself and work on becoming a better partner for me. He called it a one-sided open relationship. I didn't respond to that suggestion. After all the fighting, we just got tired and started avoiding the issues. Since then, we've been trying to move on by doing fun things together, like taking road trips, spending time with family, trying new hobbies, and working on puzzles. But even with all these distractions, the problems a few days ago, I decided to hang out with an old friend to take my mind off things. I met this friend, Alex, about 2 years ago when we worked together at a restaurant. He's also 21, and I thought catching up with him would be a great way to distract myself from my relationship issues. Alex and I used to work night shifts together at the restaurant, and afterwards, we'd always do something fun together. We'd go to the movies, bowling, or just hang out on rooftops, talking about life and sharing our thoughts. This was our routine for about a year, but then he suddenly started distancing himself from me. Yesterday, I saw Alex again for the first time in a long time. We met at a sit-down place and caught up on everything we'd missed in the past year. We talked about our lives, shared stories, and both admitted how much we'd missed spending time together. After we finished eating, it was getting late in the afternoon, and I knew I had to head home. Since I had driven to the restaurant and Alex had taken the train, I offered to give him a ride to his place. On the way, we just joked around about our old workplace, having a good time together. When it was time to drop Alex off, he said, "It's great having you around again then." He gave me a long, awkward hug. I patted him on the back, trying to signal that it was time for me to leave. But instead of letting go, he kissed me. I pushed him away and told him, "I have a boyfriend." Alex just apologized and said, "He's really lucky to have you. But if he ever messes up, I'll be here for you." Even though I didn't do anything wrong, I didn't start the kiss or kiss him back, I still felt weird about what happened. I didn't feel hurt or angry, but instead, I felt confused and a little sad. It was a strange reaction, but that's how I felt. I'm torn and feel guilty because a part of me admits that the kiss sparked something I shouldn't feel for anyone else. It makes me wonder if I deserve better than my current relationship, but at the same time, I don't want to give up on my relationship just because Alex disrespected my boundaries. That would be hypocritical, right? Honestly, I'm confused and unsure about what to do or how to feel.
Story 2.
I recently discovered that my former best friend is involved with my ex-boyfriend. This news caught me off guard and brought up a mix of emotions. 2 days ago, I stumbled upon something I wish I hadn't. Let me start from the beginning. Towards the end of 2022 and early 2023, I was in a relationship with a guy named Gary. We met at my first job when I was 17 and he was 20, so about a 2-year age difference. We were together for 9 months, which felt like a long time for me back then. Gary wasn't perfect, but I thought he was good enough at the time. I thought everything was going great, but then my life took a turn. 3 months before my 18th birthday, my dad kicked me out of the house. I couldn't move in with Gary because his roommates didn't feel comfortable with it, even though I was practically living there already. So, I ended up staying with a girl I met at my first job, named Alice. Alice and I quickly became super close, and her family kindly let me stay with them. We had so much in common and even looked like sisters. Gary and I were having some issues, but it wasn't a lost cause. I was really struggling with depression because of my dad, so I would often cry in Gary's arms. 3 months after I turned 18, Gary ended things with me. His reasons weren't entirely clear, but I knew my constant sadness played a part. The night he broke up with me was one of the toughest nights I'd had in a long time. Alice came home just as Gary was leaving, and I completely fell apart. I collapsed at the back of her car, screaming and crying uncontrollably. Alice said I was so loud that she thought the neighbors would think someone had been hurt or worse. After the breakup, I spent 2 weeks in bed, crying and missing school. I tried to distract myself by getting on Tinder, thinking that meeting new people would help me feel better. I was out almost every night, and Alice and I shared our locations with each other so we could make sure we were both safe. But then, she suddenly stopped sharing her location and ignored my calls and texts. I thought it was weird, but I didn't look into it further. Later, I got a message from Gary asking for his stuff back, and in our conversation, he accused me of lying to him before we dated. But that wasn't true. I've always been honest and open with him. I didn't realize it at the time, but Gary was actually projecting his own behavior onto me. During our conversation, he mentioned that he knew I was out every night, which was strange because only Alice knew that. A few weeks later, Alice kicked me out of her house. I moved on with my life and focused on my goals. 2 months later, I graduated, and surprisingly, Gary sent me a message congratulating me. What made it even weirder was that only Alice, my brother, and sister attended my graduation. So I wondered how Gary knew about it. I had been wondering about some small things, but I didn't piece together the whole story until 2 days ago. I decided to drive by Gary's old house to see if he still lived there, since it's been a year and a half since everything went down. Unfortunately, he does still live there. But what really caught my attention was seeing my old car, which I had given to Alice when she kicked me out. Suddenly, everything clicked into place, and I felt a surge of anger and hurt. Now I'm torn. Part of me wants them to feel the pain they caused me, but another part thinks it's been too long and I should just move on. They have no idea I know the truth. What would you do in my shoes? Would you confront them about the past or let it go?
Story 3.
I wish I had never met him. It's been 10 months of ups and downs, and I have no idea when it will end. We can't seem to stay apart, no matter how hard we try. One of us always gives in, and now we've both admitted that we love each other. I knew he felt the same way before he even said it. But he's really confusing. Sometimes he's all in, and sometimes he's distant. He's never mean or hurtful, but he's always honest, which is one of the things I love about him. The problem is, he has a hard time opening up and sharing his feelings. It drives me crazy. But despite all the craziness, I can't imagine my life without him. Right now, I'm not even sure where we stand, and it feels like everything could fall apart at any second. But at the same time, I know it's probably not really over, because we always seem to find our way back to each other. It's like we're stuck in this never-ending loop. I wish I had never met him.